Why are you running for this seat?
Well, I'm running because I'm a very lucky guy. I was born into a working class family in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. The first member of my family to go to college. My dad was a laborer on the railroad, so I had to get a job in the steel mills and on the railroad to pay for my education. Met my wife, who has similar backgrounds, now one of the most renowned physicians in Washington, D.C. You know, the two of us have had so much opportunity and have had the opportunity to live the American dream. I am concerned that with the way the economy is going, the way education is becoming so expensive and inaccessible for a lot of people, that people just don't have the same opportunities we had. And because Washington is broken, because it is so dysfunctional, unless we change people who we send to Washington, we're not going to get back to a situation where we have, America's creating the opportunities that I know it can create. And so I decided to run, hopefully to help contribute to creating those opportunities and making middle-class opportunities available for everyone the way I had. We have to have we have to eliminate all discrimination in this country, whether it's against women, whether it's against race, you name it. We've got to eliminate, and we've got to make sure, for example, with equal pay for equal work, that once we have laws, and we do have laws against that type of discrimination, that they can be enforced. And that's why I support the legislation that's in Congress today. She's a lawyer. She worked on Capitol Hill. She's a state delegate. She's a mom. How could you say she's never had a real job? Well, that was taken out of context. I definitely believe that her hyper-partisan jobs. But all those are real jobs. Oh, those are real jobs. How could those words be taken any other way than the way everyone seemed to take them? Yeah, I understand. Those are real jobs. Barbara Comstock has real jobs. The problem is those jobs were so hyper-partisan, and that was a point I was making at the time, that they do not contribute to solving the problems that we have in Washington today. She was, she her name as a investigator of the Clintons. That's where she rose to fame. It's been said that she was obsessed with taking down the Clintons. That's exactly what we don't need in Washington. She as a lobbyist for the Koch brothers, one of the worst environmental polluters in the country. This is what I was trying to make the point that her jobs, real as they are not the types of jobs that prepare you to solve the problems that we have in Washington today. Talking with Fairfax Supervisor and Virginia Congressional hopeful John Foust. A break here. Back, though, with more News Talk right after this. International personnel working in West Africa from Ebola. We'll talk with the head of security for International Relief and Development Incorporated. Right now, though, let's get back to our conversation with John Foust. He's running for the House seat being vacated by Frank Wolf, who is retiring. His opponent, Republican Barbara Comstock, has declined numerous invitations to appear here on the program. If I'm a voter in the Virginia 10th, then I may recognize the names of the candidates running, but I don't have a strong connection to either of you in terms of your background or what you're advocating going forward. Why would I not look at the fact that, let's face it, Frank Wolf has served a long time. He was first elected the night Ronald Reagan was first elected, and he's been reelected 16 times since. Barbara Comstock worked for Frank Wolf. Why wouldn't I vote for her as a matter of continuity? I liked him. Probably I would like her. Well, I think if you liked Frank Wolf, you would ultimately not like Barbara Comstock's record and her position on the issues. Frank Wolf had a lot of things going for him as a congressman, but one of the main things was his attempt to bring transportation solutions to Northern Virginia. And Barbara Comstock, on the issue that was probably most important to Frank Wolf, voted against the bipartisan transportation bill in Richmond. One of the few members of the Northern Virginia delegation who did. And she did it because she made a pledge to Grover Norquist, who is in his anti-tax pledge. And rather than representing her constituents, she represented Mr. Norquist. Frank Wolf, on the other hand, has gone on the floor of the House of Representatives, one of the few Republicans in the House of Representatives who had the courage to take on Grover Norquist and to explain how he is the problem, not the solution. So Barbara Comstock is no Frank Wolf.
She said in the Loudon Chamber debate that Obamacare has been a total failure, period. She then said that if she gets to Congress, she will vote to repeal and replace it with a measure that takes what is good from Obamacare. What was your reaction to those words? And are you concerned that her view, keep the good but dump the bulk of it, might resonate with voters?
I am not concerned about that. I am focused on, with Obamacare, I'm focused on fixing it. There were probably 100 years they tried to get health care legislation in this country. Barbara Comstock knows that this is the infrastructure we have to work with. There are so many areas where we can fix things that they complain about without repealing. And if we were to repeal, we would go back to a situation where health insurance companies got to cut us off if we got sick, denied us coverage if we had pre-existing conditions, and had no accountability for increasing rates. That's not acceptable. That is the world Barbara Comstock wants us to return to, and I don't think we need to go there, or I don't think we should go there.
Is it inconsistent or disingenuous to say, doing away with the denial of coverage based on pre-existing conditions, the lifetime caps, being able to keep your young adult sons and daughters on the family policy until they're into their 20s, is there an inherent inconsistency in saying this thing is a total failure, a total flop, period, and our repeal bill and our replace bill will incorporate all the good things that people now like about it?
Yeah, it's totally inconsistent. She has no desire to help solve the health care problem. I simply point to the Medicaid expansion in Virginia, where because of her hyper-partisan positions, her extreme right mentality, she is refusing to support Medicaid expansion in Virginia, which would bring over 30,000 jobs to the Commonwealth, which would cover almost 400,000 people, and would simply return money that we're currently paying to Washington, return it to Virginia. So she has offered nothing by way of a so-called replace bill. Her goal is to repeal and hand our health care coverage back to the insurance company cronies, and that's not acceptable.
To the phones, line 1, Ross in Fairfax Station. You're on the air. Ross, go right ahead, please.
Hi, Supervisor Foust. You said that global climate change is the most important problem facing America. I just wanted to know, what about ISIS and Ebola?
Thank you.
Global climate change is the most important environmental problem facing our country and the world. We need to take it on, and we need to solve. I like to say it's one of our biggest challenges, but it's also one of our greatest opportunities, because what do we need in America today? It's a strong and growing economy with good jobs. There are so many new technologies and industries we can develop if we just simply make the commitment to dealing with the climate change problem. Clearly, ISIS and Ebola are serious problems, and we need to deal with those as well.
With the loss in the primary, Eric Cantor went down to defeat in the primary. Jim Moran and Frank Wolf are retiring. Is Virginia going to lose? Is its influence on the Hill going to diminish because a man in a powerful position and 2 senior lawmakers are moving off the stage? And tie that, if you would, to the concerns and the needs of the federal workforce, particularly at a time where there is concern about a brain drain, a loss of continuity, if you will, in the federal workforce. Yeah,
it definitely is a setback for Virginia to lose such powerful and senior members of the delegation. Very fortunate in Northern Virginia in terms of working on behalf of the federal workforce to have a team of good people Jerry Conley, Don Beyer, myself will be the Northern Virginia delegation in Congress, and we'll be working with two of the most outstanding senators in Washington, in Mark Warner and Tim Kaine. So I am optimistic that we will, as a team, be able to hold things together and continue to do what Frank Wolf used to do for federal workers, and Jim Moran, and that is to be their advocate. And you know, I'm confident we can do that.
Some have pointed to the withdrawal of support from the DCCC as a sign that Democrats in Washington, the people who are looking at the big playing field, trying to decide where to best use the resources they have between now and Election Day, it's being interpreted by some as a sign that whatever gap might exist between you and Barbara Comstock in the polls might not be overcomable. Is there an issue there? How do you read the decision on the advertising front? Yeah.
No, there's no issue there. The polls demonstrate that we're within the margin of error. I mean, this is one of the closest races in the country. The DCCC, as does the Republican counterpart, they move money around at the end of races, and they play, you know, war games, going after different seats. And the Republicans decided apparently to go after several incumbents, Democratic incumbents. Money is moved to those races. We still have more resources than Barbara Comstock. We have polls that have us tied. The momentum's on our side. We closed a fairly significant gap because of her, you know, appearances on Fox News and her attacks in rural battling the Clintons, trying to demonize the Clintons. She had better name recognition to me, and so we have closed that gap. The momentum is all on our side. The more people learn about her record and her opposition to women's health care issues, and the more they learn about my fiscal responsibility and hard work on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, the more they're coming to us.
So you're saying that when she is out doing media, that your fundraising ticks upward?
When she's out doing media, my fundraising takes upward? I'm not sure.
Did I understand you rightly to say that because of, you were talking about tradition, you were talking about interviews she's given over time.
Over time, I mean,
not in this election cycle.
Yeah, I mean, you see one of her interviews in our commercials that we've been running on TV, where she was on MSNBC and saying that she wants to see Roe v. Wade overturned.
I misunderstood part of what you said. We'll squeeze in one more call. Interesting number of interesting volume of calls today. Line 3, Donna in Fairfax. You're on the air. Not a lot of time, Donna, but hi. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, first I want to mention that Barbara Comstock has been out taking her message directly to the folks in.
We hear you. Keep talking.
And that she has been focusing on the issue, that Mr. Foust would continue to focus on the issues than what's on the lower half of a woman's body. And I'm also asking him, why is he so giddy about getting the appointment of Cosmopolitan magazine?
So a reference to Women's Anatomy and the Cosmopolitan magazine endorsement? I'm not sure I followed all that. But
I'm not sure if the caller was trying to suggest that women's health care issues are not important, then I couldn't disagree more. It is just totally unacceptable what the Republicans, and particularly Barbara Comstock, have done to try to limit a woman's right to make her own health care choices, to try to impose transvaginal ultrasounds on them. This, we would just have to disagree on that if that's her point. In terms of giddy, over Cosmopolitan, I'm having a hard time thinking of the last time I would refer to myself as giddy. However, I am very, very pleased to have that endorsement. If you read that endorsement, it is just absolutely lays out the case against Barbara Comstock and why she is bad for women and why the Cosmopolitan has endorsed me.
Fairfax Supervisor and Virginia Congressional hopeful John Foust.